What's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys That Magic. It's me, it's Steven, and today I'm joined by Hunter. Hunter, say hello.
Hello.
Oh, okay, that was very energetic. I assume you're excited for this little video we're doing.
I am very excited. Always excited when it comes to upgrade season.
Yeah, you are a Mardu person at heart, so I was terrified that you got this deck.
Yeah, for people at home that don't know, we randomized the decks when they are released to all of us. I got the Mardu deck, which, fun fact, cares about tokens.
Yeah, shocker. But yeah, so Hunter, this is going to be your $100 upgrade to Mardu Surge. I'm very excited to see what you do to this deck. If you guys do want to see the $100 backup upgrade, that'll be to Narev for Mardu Surge. It'll be over on our Patreon. Check the link in the description. And then while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe so you're up to date with all these amazing videos we're putting out for you guys. But without any further ado, Hunter, let's go ahead and get into it. Talk to me about Zurgo.
Yeah, so like you said, the face commander we're talking about for this video is going to be Zurgo Stormrender. It is just simple Mardu, red, white, black, for a 3/3 legendary creature, Orc Warrior. It's got Mobilize 1, which is a new mechanic specifically from this set, which, in case you don't remember, whenever this creature attacks, create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature token, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. And it also says, whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, each opponent loses 1 life. So, we care about tokens because our commander triggers only on tokens. So, I'm very excited that I got this deck because I love tokens. And hey, who doesn't love tokens?
The person you're playing against most of the time.
Maybe you are correct. But yeah, so we want to go ahead and draw some cards by attacking. Hopefully our opponents are low enough life where they start blocking. And if they do, we just get card draw off of that. Or if we have ways to just sacrifice our creature after dealing combat before we leave combat, that counts as leaving the battlefield during attacking. So we draw cards off that. Otherwise, our tokens just disappear at end step and we drain our opponents.
Solid strategy that I would be very surprised to see in any Mardu deck.
Yeah, no downside, really.
Yeah. All right, Hunter. Well, let's go ahead and get into your additions. I see some new cards from the set.
Yeah, so that's something I like to do is I like to look at the main set and then just pull brand new cards that feel like would go really well in our deck. So these two creatures up front coming in from the main set. We have Voice of Victory, which is 1 and a white for a 1/3 creature human bard. Has a mobilize of 2, so it makes 2 of those tokens tapped and attacking when this attacks. And it also says your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, which is so important because we want to do our thing with not being interacted with. So, Voice of Victory, fantastic include here.
Hunter, why don't you want me to cast spells during your turn? What's wrong with that?
Because I'm doing my thing. Leave me alone.
Okay, it's a valid point, I guess. Like, yeah, sure, you're entitled to that opinion.
The other new creature that's coming from the main set into this Zurgo deck is Zurgo. That's right. The other Zurgo in with this one. This is Zurgo Thunder's Decree. It is also just Mardu. So just red, white, black for a 2/4 legendary creature Orc Warrior. It has mobilize of 2 again. And it says during your end step warrior tokens you control have, this token can't be sacrificed. So all of these warrior tokens we are making with mobilize, if Zurgo Thunder's Decree is on the board, they do not get sacrificed at the end step. Now, while it is important to note that our face commander does say whenever a token leaves the battlefield, they get drained, that's fine. If our board is going wide, eventually people are going to have to start blocking, which makes us draw cards.
Yeah, really good strategy, to be quite honest with you. At some point, I definitely will be blocking because every point of damage matters, and just having these little 1/1s continuously just flicking me is going to start getting annoying.
Yep, I can't wait.
Moving on to some more creatures, I can see where some extra 1/1s might be coming from.
Yeah, so the final 3 creatures we are throwing in here is actually Caesar, Legion's Emperor from the Fallout set. It is 1 red, white, black for a 4/4 legendary creature, Human Soldier. It says whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, choose 2. You can create 2 1/1 red and white soldier creature tokens with haste that are tapped and attacking. You can draw a card and lose a life. Or you can have Caesar deal damage equal to the number of creature tokens you control to target opponent. Now, the fun fact about Caesar is that you can stack your own triggers. So, You can stack the Mobilize trigger first, stack the Caesar trigger second, sacrifice that 1/1 that you just created. Then it triggers our commander by drawing a card. Caesar can now just do whatever it wants to do with that thing that was just sacrificed. Make 2 more tokens if you want to, draw more cards. Really, sky's the limit.
Yeah, Hunter, Caesar's a really good card on its own. In this deck, I'm kind of terrified, especially with Mobilize. This is going to get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm excited. Another one that's going in here is absolutely my favorite token maker that's been printed in a long time. It's Charismatic Conqueror. 1 and a white for a 2/2 creature vampire soldier. It's got vigilance. And whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield untapped and under an opponent's control, they may tap that permanent. If they don't, you create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. So everything that comes into play on our opponent's side, creature or artifact, do you want that to come in tapped or do you want to use it right away? Because if you do want to use it right away, I get a 1/1.
Yeah, I think the terrifying thing about this card is if you ask me that question and I say, yeah, it'll be tapped, and then the next turn you have a bunch of little tokens that are just going to hit me very hard, I'm kind of terrified.
Yeah. And the final creature that's going in here is Mirkwood Bats. Just a little bit more drain for our opponents. It's 3 and a black for a 2/3 creature bat. It's got flying, and it says whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. Well, the fun fact about Mobilize is we're creating and they get sacrificed. So that's at least draining them for 2. And then, if our commander's on the field, drain them for another 1.
Well, I know where to point the Path to Exile now.
Mirkwood Bats is a fantastic card in any token deck.
Yes, definitely agree. I do see a couple sorceries down here now.
Yeah, so for the sorcery department, we're just throwing in 2. We had to throw in Blasphemous Act, which I was kind of shocked being in a go wide token deck that Blasphemous Act wasn't in there because a lot of the times you were just going to cast this for 1. So it's 8 and a red for a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. It deals 13 damage to each creature. Like I said, shocked that this wasn't in the deck, but here we are now.
Yeah, reprinted to the ground, but not here.
Not here. And then another one that we're throwing in is my favorite, Song of Totentans. It's X and a red for a sorcery that says create X 1/1 black rat creature tokens with this creature can't block. And it also says creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Now, I love the flexibility of Song of Totentans because you can just go ahead and use whatever you have mana-wise and just throw it into that X to make a bunch of rats. But the most important part about that card is if you noticed with the ads and the commander, nothing has haste. So giving this haste is fantastic. We need haste in this deck to really go.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The flexibility is pretty amazing. You can either make a bunch of rats, a couple rats, or you can just give all your stuff haste. This is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 2 great sorceries for the deck. I do see an instant spell here.
Just 1 instant. Similar to Voice of Victory, we don't want our opponents to mess with our stuff. So Flawless Maneuver is going to help that a little bit too. It's 2 and a white for an instant. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Creatures control gain indestructible until end of turn. So, yeah, don't board wipe me, please. I'm trying to go wide here.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to get a lot of board wipes for sure in this deck.
That's fair.
Especially moving on to this next card. I see 1 artifact that runs rampant in standard.
Yeah. Again, another really good token maker. It's Urabrask's Forge. It's 2 and a red for an artifact that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put an oil counter on Urabrask Forge, then you create an X1 red Phyrexian horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on Urabrask Forge. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. Isn't that fun? You get to sacrifice your stuff at the beginning of the end step, similar to the Mobilize mechanic, which drains our opponents. And then this just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and tramples over things.
Yeah, I mean, I do love the include here. Urabrask Forge, I feel like most of the time you're just kind of swinging and it just gets overly aggressive. But now, not only are you swinging with probably going to be a big creature, now you get to ping me for it too?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. All right. Mardu.
Mardu.
I do see a couple more permanents here. Let's go ahead and get into the enchantments now. I see another new card from the set.
That's right. Sticking into the main set again, we are pulling out Windcrag Siege. 1 red, white. Enchantment. As this enchantment enters, you choose Mardu or Jeskai. If you choose Mardu, It says if a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Or if you choose Jeskai, at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. It gains lifelink and haste until end of turn. The flexibility of this card is perfect for this deck. Most of the time, probably saying Mardu because we want those double mobilized triggers. But if we really need that token generation later down the road, say Jeskai.
True. Yeah. I do like this include. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Ishin, just with a little bit of extra love.
It is actually Ishin minus one of the colors, so it's actually easier to cast. And it's an enchantment, harder to kill.
Yep. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I do like that. Let's move on to some of the other enchantments. I do hate what I am seeing.
Yeah, so the other enchantments really help this deck run as well. So Caretaker's Talent is going in. For 2 and a white, it's an enchantment class. Once it's cast, it says whenever one or more tokens you control enter, you draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Of course, card draw wins games. At level 2, for 1 extra white mana, this you can create a token that's a copy of a target token you control. And at the final level, for level 3, pay 3 and a white. Creature tokens you control get +2/+2. So the flexibility on Caretaker's Talent is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like most of the time when you see people play Caretaker's Talent, it's really just for the token draw. But in this deck, getting that to third level is going to be insane.
Mm-hmm. And then Rising of the Day, I mentioned it with Song of Totentons. Haste is important. So 2 and a red enchantment creatures you control have haste. And then just additional upside legendary creatures you control get +1/+0. Easy, to the point. And the final enchantment is War Leader's Call. 1 red white enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, War Leader's Call deals 1 damage to each opponent. Just a bit of extra pinging down our opponents.
Yeah, I mean, every little bit's going to start adding up. And after seeing what you've already put in, I am terrified.
You should be. It's fun.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to lands. I see 2 simple lands, but
Yep.
very good lands.
We're just putting in 2 extra lands. So Fountain Port, I feel like is a very important card when it comes to tokens. It taps for colorless. You also pay 2 tap it, sacrifice a token to draw a card. You also pay 3 tap it, pay 1 life to create a 1/1 blue fish creature token, or you could pay 4 tap it to create a treasure token. Like I said, the flexibility on Fountain Port, fantastic here. Do what you need. And of course, one more land that just taps for all of our colors. It's the Savai Triome. It's a land that's a mountain, plains, and swamp. You can tap it at a red, white, or black. It does enter the battlefield tapped, but if you draw it late game, you can cycle it away for just 3 mana.
Yeah, I mean, really good includes here. Fountain Port, especially in a token deck, just being able to pay to draw a card. There's already what seems to be like pretty good card draw in this deck, but just adding that little bit extra is really nice.
Yeah, so card draw is important. We we want card draw here.
Card draw wins games. But that does look like all the additions. What do you think? Yeah?
That's it. That's all the additions for this Mardu Surge upgrade.
All right, simple, sweet, to the point. But unfortunately, Hunter and everyone at home, we all know what that means. We added cards to the deck. We do have to remove some of the cards from the Precon. It is the part that we hate the most, but it has to be done. We want the decks to run a little smoother. But without further ado, Hunter, go ahead and talk to me about some of the creatures we've removed from this deck.
Yeah, so we are removing some of the creatures. Mere Battlesphere. I feel like every time they print anything that does with tokens, they're just like, throw that one in there. And I always take it out. So I've got like a bulk bin of just a bunch of Mere Battlespheres. It's 7 generic mana for a 4/7 artifact creature, Mere Construct. It says whenever this creature enters, you create 4 1/1 colorless Mere artifact creature tokens. And whenever this creature attacks, you may tap X untapped Mere you control. If you do, this creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. This is the only thing that makes mirrors in the deck, so get it gone. It doesn't even trigger on itself because you have to tap this to attack. So once the mirrors are gone, the mirrors are gone. The trigger is gone.
Yeah, this card is, like you said, reprinted a lot when it comes to things like this. I mean, I just think 7 mana is super expensive. And to be honest with you, this gets blocked by a 1/1.
Does get
And that's not fun. It will continuously do the damage to the attacking player, but it's just one person. We want
it,
everyone dead, right?
Exactly. I'm chopping off the top half there. 7 mana is way too much for this card that does very minimal. Beetleback Chief is 2 and 2 red for a 2/2 creature goblin warrior. When it enters, you make 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. A one-time effect like that, you've seen the other kind of token production we're throwing in here. Beetleback Chief not doing enough. Bone Devourer is a new card from this deck. It is 3 and a black for a 2/2 creature dragon. It's got flash. It's got flying. It says this creature enters with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the number of creatures that died this turn. And whenever this creature dies, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. It's a really cool card. It is not really made for this deck, in my opinion. You are going to be mobilizing, so you're going to be sacrificing a couple of those warrior tokens, so you can flash this in on end step after that, and then it gets bigger, but it's not progressing our game board of, hey, we want tokens. This is not a token itself. This is not a deck where you can just sacrifice this to draw cards, and this is probably going to eat an exile spell, if anything.
Yeah, plus coming in at 4 mana, it really like is that what you want to hold your 4 mana up for at the end of your turn?
Not at all. Another thing that we don't want to hold up our 4 mana for is Solemn Simulacrum.
How dare you?
It's 4 mana for a 2/2 artifact creature golem. When it enters, you may search your library for a basic land, put that on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle, and when it dies, you draw a card. It's a Precon card for a reason. It's cool in those blink decks, and it's cool in a Precon. But we're upgrading the Precon, so Solemn is not doing enough, and it's gonna come out.
I'm ashamed.
Siege Gain Commander, 3 and 2 red for a 2/2 creature goblin. When it enters, you create 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. And for 1 and a red, you can sacrifice a goblin, and this creature will deal 2 damage to any target. That's kind of cool, right? But for 5 mana, it's a 2/2 that just brings in 3 1/1s for one time. And once again, not really doing enough for this deck. I've thrown in other token generators that are just a lot better than Siege Gain Commander. So, it's out.
Not only are they better, but they come in tapped and attacking.
They do, yeah. And the final creature we are getting rid of is Aaron, Benalia's Ruin. It's 2 white and a black for a 3/3 legendary creature for Phyrexian human. It has menace. And then for an ability, for a white and a black, you can tap this and sacrifice another creature to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That's cool and all, but it's not really progressing our game state the way we want it to. I like how this has menace, but then you have to tap this to actually make the ability go off. So menace is kind of useless. I don't know. This is a cool card, and it does allow us to sacrifice another creature in the middle of combat, but we do have those effects still in the deck. Don't worry. And Aaron, it's coming out.
All right. Well, that does look like all the creatures you removed. I do see a couple sorceries here.
Yeah, just a couple sorceries. Eliminate the competition. We threw in Blasphemous Act, so 1 board wipe had to go. So this one is 4 and a black for sorcery that says, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice X creatures and destroy X target creatures. If you're trying to do that, I understand what it's doing. It's like, I'm going to sacrifice my tokens, and then I'm going to drain you guys, and then I'm going to kill your stuff. That's cool. Don't get me wrong. But at that point, I'm just wiping the whole board. You're still getting drained regardless.
Yeah, I don't like this card at all. I mean, coming in at 5 mana, the cost doesn't get reduced by anything, and then you got to sacrifice your board, and you might not even be wiping the board.
Mm-hmm. Release the Dogs is 3 and a white. Create 4 1/1 white dog creature tokens. Dogs are cool. I love dogs. But for 4 mana to make 4 1/1s one time? Nah, not here. And the final sorcery we are removing is Shadow Summoning. For a white and a black, it's a sorcery. You create 2 tapped 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. That's not a good card. Don't play this card.
Yeah, this card's so bad. Sorcery speed tapped creatures on your turn.
Yeah, very cool. Why would you play this card? It's you're making tapped 1/1s at sorcery speed. Fantastic, I guess. No.
Yeah, in this deck, definitely not good. I even argue very few decks would want to run this, but
Mm-hmm.
Whew. All right. Well, after that, I do see an artifact you removed.
Yeah, just one artifact. Wayfarer's Bauble, 1 mana for an artifact. You can pay 2, sacrifice it. Search the library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. I understand that you're trying to mana fix with Wayfarer's Bauble, but honestly, I didn't have trouble really getting all of our colors that we needed when I made this deck, so Wayfarer's Bauble is the odd man out.
That's because you weren't being filmed. So once the camera comes on, I'm sure land might be hard to find.
Oh, that'll be the day.
All right. I see 2 enchantments that got removed. One I'm kind of sad to see go.
Yeah, so the first one is Commander's Insignia. It's 2 and 2 white for an enchantment that says creatures you control get +1/+1 for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone in this game. This card is not good. This card screams, please keep killing my commander. I need this to be a better card. That's bad strategy. And the card you probably alluded to, Steven, that you don't like to see get cut. It is a good card. It's Legion Loyalty. It's 6 and 2 white for an enchantment. So it says creatures you control have Myriad. Now, while that is a very powerful effect because you do get to swing whatever creature you swing with, it makes a copy of itself tapped and attacking your opponents. And then it gets exiled at the end of combat, which is technically attacking because you're in combat, so you get to draw cards. But for 8 mana, that is a hefty, hefty cost for a card that doesn't necessarily win you the game. And most of the time, it's probably eating a counter because you're at that point in the game where people are holding up their counters. So this is a card that, however very, very good, it's just not going to fit in this build.
Yeah, it's also kind of weird because obviously with Myriad, the creature has to be declared an attacker. So with Mobilize, most of the time you're not going to really get those extra 1/1s. So I kind of see why this is cut. I've always just wanted to see this card go off. I think is why I'm kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it go off too, but it just doesn't.
It just doesn't. Also, what doesn't? These lands we cut.
Yep. Final cuts of the video is the land department. We added 2. We are cutting 3. So we're going down the land count just by 1. We are getting rid of Vault of the Archangel. It's a land that taps for a colorless. It can also pay 2, a white and a black to tap it, and creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. Don't really care about giving my creatures Death Touch and Lifelink. We're trying to go wide here, so we're probably never going to activate that. And the reason I'm cutting Vault of the Archangel is because we added Fountain Port, which, in my opinion, if you're throwing in a colorless land into a deck that cares about 3 colors, you probably want to take one out. So this one's coming out. Windbrisk Heights is a land that always enters the battlefield tapped. It does have Hideaway 4. You could tap for a white, or you could pay a white, tap it. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if you attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn. And while that's very doable with Windbrisk Heights, I always find this card just to be a little slow, a little clunky in my opinion, and I just don't want to risk the ability of the Hideaway of just never being able to cast a card. And the final land is Canyon Slough. It's a land Swamp Mountain. Always, always, always enters the battlefield tapped and taps for a black or red. It's got a cycling of 2. We added the Triome. It's just infinitely better than this.
That is true. That is very true. I like these cuts. And hey, finally, a Precon, you don't have to cut Ash Barrens.
There is no Ash Barrens in this deck, believe it or not.
I know. Thank God.
Shocker.
All right, Hunter. Well, listen, you were given a budget of $100. And I know you. You like to keep it tight. So where are we at?
Yeah, so at the time of recording, this is still pre-order prices. So we did add a good amount of new cards, and trust me, there are a good amount of new cards that I want to throw in this. So stay tuned for the $300 upgrade because there's probably some that you're screaming at your screen saying, why aren't those added? It's because the pre-order prices were just too crazy in my opinion. But time of recording, this is $98.08. So just coming right underneath.
Nice. Well, fantastic. Always keeping it by the budget for the people, and I appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, before we get on to the rest of the video, what do you think about Zurgo? Final thoughts? You hate it? You love it? Tell me.
I love it. Of course I do, right? It cares about tokens.
Yeah.
It's that sweet spot that you've always talked about, Steven. It's a 3 mana commander. It's 3 colors. It's the perfect amount, and it does the thing that it wants to do. It does the thing on its own. It also just really, really synergizes with that token strategy. And yeah, go out and pick this up if you want to have fun with tokens.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked that question knowing you weren't going to say anything bad. So, but I wanted everyone at home to know. All right. Well, you guys have made it to the end of the video, which means you've already subscribed, right? Well, if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe now. Down in the comments, go ahead and let us know what cards you think Hunter should have added. What cards do you think that he added that you don't agree with? What did he take out that you're kind of upset about? We always read the comments. We always take feedback, and it might help us with our deck upgrades in the future. Also, while you're down there subscribing, don't forget to like the video. Also, in the description, you'll see the deck list for this. Definitely go check it out. And don't forget to check out all of our other social media accounts. But on the screen right now, all of our beautiful Patreon subscribers, thank you guys so much for all of your continued support. If you guys want to see what they're seeing over on Patreon, like the $100 and $300 backup upgrade to the Mardu Surge deck, check it out. But a special shout out to our indestructible tier, starting with Daryl Tripp,
Demarion Turner,
Dr. Rome,
Jimmy Ward,
Kevo,
Larry Killian,
Robert Mayat,
Thrifty PSGR,
Tim K,
and Ryder Cole.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for subscribing and watching. Until the next video, have a good rest of your day.
Peace.